Welcome, Moon Goons, to a special bonus episode of the Horrible Horror Podcast, the podcast where we watch the worst of the worst in horror movies. Movies so bad they're scary. I'm your host, Marshall Hampton. Aaron is here with me, but we are at the St. Louis Contamination, the horror, sci-fi, and pop culture convention. We're here recording. We'll be doing a live show, but today we're just going to kind of be doing like a man on the street type thing. We're going to be talking to con-goers and getting their input and their experiences with some of their worst horror movies that they've ever seen. And we're just going to see how that goes. So stay tuned, and let's check out the interviews.
Okay, so we're here at the Contamination, and we're just kind of doing, again, man on the street little interview with Horrible Horror Podcast. And we're here with Laura, con-goer, and someone who, when she came up and approached our booth, kind of told us something kind of cool that she does, I guess. And it's about horror movies. Why don't you go ahead and let us know what it is, Laura?
I host we call it the Bad Animal Horror Movie Night at my house every so often on a randomly regular basis.
I kind of love it, and that's something we talked about before. It seems like a pretty specific genre of horror. So I'm guessing you're an animal lover?
Yes, I used to work for a nonprofit group called World Bird Sanctuary, and so just love anything that takes animals and just makes them horribly horror-filled.
Well, that's very cool. So we're just kind of asking people also, obviously we do love horror movies, so at the end of the day, we love a good horror movie. What is your favorite horror movie? Or one of your favorite horror movies?
I think probably one of my top ones is called Black Sheep.
Okay, and
our listeners should be familiar with that. We did feature that movie. We did an episode on Black Sheep, and I believe we both at the end of the day said it's so bad it's good. We loved it.
Yeah, so we are familiar with Black Sheep, and it's funny because that is one of the movies we did. Now, again, we love horror as well, horrible ones. What was the worst movie, maybe a movie that was so bad it was good?
Oh, so bad it was good. I don't know, I've got one that was really bad.
That's fine, too.
We take that, too. We take that as well.
That's our bread and butter right there.
Yeah.
It was a slightly off from the animal theme, but it was still sort of animal. The Shriek of the Sasquatch.
Shriek of the Sasquatch.
I've actually heard of it. I have not seen it, but I have heard of it.
That may be one we have to do. That may be one we have to check out.
Make sure you don't have any little kids in the room, though, because it's a little more than a PG-13.
No, well, we're a little more than PG-13 ourselves. So if you ever get a chance to listen to our podcast, make sure there's no kids around either.
Yeah.
Definitely do that.
Yeah,
okay.
we are definitely 18 and up for...
For people who may not have heard us, we are 18 and up. So it's really cool that you're here at the con. What's one of the things that you're really looking forward to here at the con?
I'm looking forward to meeting and talking with Dirk Benedict and Richard Hatch. Love those guys.
Okay, so
Richard
kind of
Hatch.
go with the Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
Okay.
Grew up watching that.
All right, yeah. I myself never watched it. Well, let me take a sec. I used to have a small record that I got from a family member, and I would listen to it and read the comic book along at the same time.
I remember those. I had a Spider-Man one when I was a kid.
And it was Battlestar Galactica, and I think the problem was the record was scratched, so I was just frustrated. I'm like, Battlestar Galactica, ugh. So it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, I think, when I was a little kid. I hear it's great. I hear it's got a great following. They obviously did the reboot, but yeah, Battlestar Galactica just, for me, it just brings back painful memories of trying to read and hearing a skipping record.
That's a very, very sad thing.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for sitting down with us and talking to us a little bit.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy
You're
the rest of the
welcome.
con.
Thank you
All right,
very much,
thank you.
guys.
All right, so we're here again at the con doing our man on the street, and actually we have run into another fellow horror podcaster. We are here with James with his podcast, Monsters from the Basement. James, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Having a great time this
Yeah,
weekend.
we're having a great time at the con. So, James, I understand, like, we just started talking, you checked out our booth, and you said, hey, I do a podcast too. Why don't you go tell us a little bit about your podcast, Monsters from the Basement?
Well, basically, my website is dedicated to horror conventions. I help promote them. I do reviews on them. And I do a lot of interviews with the celebrities and guests at shows and post them on the website as a podcast.
That's very cool, yeah. So you've done interviews with celebrities, any big names in horror?
Let's see, PJ Souls. Who
Oh,
was
yeah,
in-
Midnight Halloween. Yeah,
Carrie.
that's great.
Let's see, let me think.
I know I put you on the spot here.
Adrienne Barbeau, I've interviewed her.
I've heard,
Okay.
Let's see. if you hadn't asked me.
I know. Well, some of the big movies that maybe they've been in. So I also, we were talking a little bit earlier. We talked about how you're a big Halloween guy as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I didn't get a chance to tell you, Marshall, huge Halloween fan.
Really?
Yeah. I was probably I can't say here, obviously, because I might be out of my league here, but growing up, I was the biggest Halloween fan of anybody I ever knew. I had like all the movies down. I could like almost quote the movie. I had posters, collectibles. Like, I just loved Halloween.
Yeah, but James was telling me about your poster.
Right. Have you ever seen the 30 Years of Terror poster?
I haven't seen the poster, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah. Well,
I know of what the 30 Years of Terror that is.
Yeah, the poster kind of covers every Halloween movie, made, including Rob Zombie's.
Okay.
I've got it framed, and it's got over 50 signatures.
Oh, wow.
On it.
That's awesome.
Including Jamie Lee Curtis, John Carpenter. I've got PJ on there.
Yeah.
Just about everybody.
It's very cool.
That's very impressive.
That's pretty awesome. So again, Horrible Horror, we like to watch the worst of the worst movies so bad they're scary. So, and being a horror guy, here at the convention, I guess let's just say, what's one of your favorite? Because I think it's hard to say what is your absolute favorite. But what is one of your favorite horror movies?
The bad one?
No. Well, that's the follow up. But just even a good one. What's one that you can put in your say that's a fantastic horror film?
The original Friday the 13th.
Okay.
The original one with Mama Voorhees.
Right.
Deborah.
Exactly.
I think it's Deborah Voorhees?
Yeah.
Deborah.
Yeah. No, that is fantastic. Now, of course, we are into the bad ones.
Right.
Now, is there one that's so bad that it's good that kind of holds a special place in your heart?
Well, we were talking earlier, of course, Dirk Benedict is a guest here at the convention who was in Battlestar Galactica. But he was in a movie called which was about a guy who was into snakes and reptiles and all that stuff. And he was doing experiments on human people, and he turned Dirk into a human snake.
I think this is one we're going to have to check out.
I'm definitely going to have to research that and try to find it.
Yeah, because this is not this. Now, James also told us about this, but we've also had one of our guests who does animal horror movie conventions, or not conventions, but she hosts horror movies
Nights,
featuring animals. And she came up we did her little interview with her. She came up after, later on, and she told us also about. So this is the second time.
Never heard of it before, Dave. I've heard of it twice now.
This is the second time we've had people tell us to check it out. So I think it's gonna be on our list. It's coming soon, Moon Goons. You have to check it out.
I think it just came out on Blu-ray. So you should.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, then it's easy. You can find it then. That's
excellent.
Good. Now, was that one that you're saying that was so bad it's actually good? Was that, or is that?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Now, let's on the flip side of that. What's like one that you've seen that is just that you remember being just awful, like so bad it's just trash.
A movie. Some of the early, like 50s and 60s movies, of course, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That one I think goes down in the history books.
Yeah, being one of the worst movies ever. Yeah.
And some of the later Universal horror movies, of course, not the original Frankenstein and Dracula's, but in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, they just kind of kept trying. Yeah.
Yeah, and the more they tried, the worse they got.
So, James, you've been doing podcasts now for 4 or 5 years?
Right.
Yeah, so where can they check out your podcast?
Well, the website's Monsters from the Basement. You can Google that, and it'll come up. And I've got a personal Facebook page, James Downing, Downing, and there's also a Monsters from the Basement Facebook page, too.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So, do they have links to your episodes on there?
Oh, yeah.
Great. So they can listen to it there. Are you on iTunes?
I will be.
Okay, great.
Like I said, telling you earlier, my page got hacked.
It sounds. And again, hackers, fuck you. Come on. What are you doing? You're just messing with people. Cut it out. Go after the big fish. Let the normal people just do their thing.
Right.
So, so you're going to hopefully get on iTunes, and they can check it out on your website, From the Basement. Is it FromTheBasements.com?
Right.
Okay. And also from your Facebook page.
Yeah.
That's great. It's fantastic to meet another guy who does podcasts for horror. It sounds like you kind of got a leg up on us as far as getting into the celebrities and getting them, because we've only interviewed a few people Again, we're looking for someone with some really bad movies, so they're willing to talk to us.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't really talked to anybody high up there.
It's hard to get interviews when we all talk about the shitty movies.
Yeah, it's not often.
Like,
They're
hey,
like,
you talk to us about your movie? Yeah, we thought it was shit, by the way, but you want to talk to us?
not often are they really willing to jump in and talk to you. All right, well, James, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and enjoy the con.
All right, you too.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we're still here at the con doing kind of man on the street, but we have our woman on the street right now. Actually, the woman who is helping us out at the con, our booth bait, if you will, the beautiful Natalie. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Natalie.
All right, so we went ahead and put on an ad out for people to kind of help us out with the con. Natalie applied. She was one of many, but she was the one who made the cut, and so we're here with her. And apparently, she actually has a little bit of horror in her resume.
Yeah, as the eternal words of... I'm going to fuck this up because I already forgot the name of the band. Son of a bitch. House of Pain. House of Pain says the cream of the crop, it rises to the top. Never knew how to Terminator, like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
All right, we're not going to sing House of
I'm
Pain.
not going to know, but...
So, you did some horror. You actually did a horror short. What was the horror short, and tell us a little bit about it.
So basically what it was about is these paranormal investigators, they do like a web series, and they went into this bar because apparently it was like haunted, and there's like, it's called the St. Louis Puppeteer, and they went in not thinking they were going to find anything because they usually don't.
That's usually what we find in a lot of those paranormal investigator shows. It's like, ooh, what was that? Ooh, you feel that? I don't know. And then nothing happens.
A lot of them. I watched Ghost Hunters like religiously for a long time. I got into them.
So what happened?
So it ended up being haunted, and they all died in the end.
Oh, so did you have a death scene?
That old fairy tale.
You had a death scene.
There was a lot of fake blood. I was the last one to die.
You held out the longest.
Oh yeah, 'cause
nice.
I'm smart. Smart.
Yeah.
Oh, let me ask you this before we go on. You were the last one to die. Was this one of the movies where everybody died?
Oh yeah, everyone dies.
All
No
right,
one
so
makes it out
basically
alive.
you were Survivor Girl.
You were basically Survivor
Girl.
I was almost there. I was at the door, but it was locked.
Of course it was locked.
Of course, I can't get it unlocked in time for some reason. But I didn't fall while I was running.
That's
I did
good.
not fall.
Did not fall down.
It's probably because you weren't wearing those wedge shoes you're wearing right now.
I was wearing heels though.
Whoa, hey.
Talents.
Then you got
Talents.
skills. You got skills. So what was the name of this show? Or what was the name of this short?
It's called 708.
708. And where can some of our fans find it to watch it?
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
And right now it's kind of private until it's being released. But
So can I right now type it in on YouTube and find it? No. Okay. So
I think it's private. We would have to have the exact link.
yeah, you had to have the right
It's not going to be. You
URL.
can't search it. On
okay. But is it going to be released on YouTube?
Yeah, it will be.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Do you have an idea of when or?
Should be soon.
Do you know how long ago did you do it?
I did it in February, and we finished with the catch-up days in March, and then it was premiered in May at the bar that it was filmed at, and also at Webster University.
So it's still pretty fresh.
Yeah,
So it makes
it's
sense
really
that it's
fresh,
not a release on YouTube yet.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So
Maybe I missed this. What was the bar that you filmed in itself?
708.
It was the
It's
name
a
of the bar.
burlesque bar, yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, for St. Louis listeners who act, if you're curious, go. It's 708 Burlesque Bar. They shot a horror movie there.
Yeah.
Speaking of shooting horror movies, you were telling us earlier that you did a webcam horror series when you were in 6th grade?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Oh, that's on YouTube.
If that's on YouTube, I'm watching. I gotta watch that. But let's revisit that because that was amazing.
Well, I was 12, and I really wanted to convince everyone. I wanted everyone to be scared when they watched it. So I put up my webcam on my bed, and I put the Haunting in Connecticut soundtrack on. And I put black and white filter to make it look really serious.
legit. It's a legit film when you're black and white.
100%. And then I had a few takes, Most of them are all bloopers because something went wrong. At first, we started with the big like butcher knives, and then my mom got pretty mad.
Yeah, you were telling us that you were actually using like giant hunting Bowie knives.
No. It's like the big like butcher knives,
The Michael Myers giant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I got in trouble with them. And so I was left with butter knives. So halfway through, you see us like stabbing each other, but we're not really stabbing with butter knives. So it's pretty scary. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds pretty terrifying. But,
oh, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Marshall and I are guilty as well. We made a lot
We did the same thing.
We did the same kind of thing. Now, of course, ours was a little bit older. We had VHS, so we haven't been able to convert it to a digital file. So unfortunately,
the problem is we watched those DVD. We watched that VHS so much. We showed it to friends and family that the VHS started to actually wear down. It's like, like trying to watch it nowadays, it's just like static. The tape's so worn out.
And plus, it was like an old tape that's been taped over 10 times already. It's like, Dad, can we have a tape? Yeah, sure. Take that documentary on bullhorns that I'm not going to ever watch. So, but maybe someday we can find a way to convert it.
If I could, I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Do you have anything else in the works? Anything else with movies or film or theater?
Modeling?
Well, I did do another short film where I was a Muslim.
Oh,
interesting.
Okay. Right on.
Not the best one.
Were you in full burqa?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
question is, so
burqa.
they never really saw your face.
No, only my eyes. I got beautiful eyes, but I wasn't
plug
into
there.
that.
It's like, guys, trust me, my eyes are beautiful.
Trust us. No, she has very pretty eyes.
I'm not lying. No, but I couldn't get into that character as much, I guess. I was just really weirded out, I guess, by the whole idea.
Well, and also the same thing, you're completely covered in a beekeeper's outfit. You're in the burqa. You can't really see your face, so you almost lose a part of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Because especially in acting, and especially, you use your face, you use your positioning, and when you're covered in a beekeeper's outfit, essentially, it's hard to use your, your skills as, facial reactions and, smiles and frowns and, emotion. It's all gone. It's only in the eyes.
Which is
pretty tough.
Not good. Also, the thing, like the burqa or whatever, it kept getting stuck, it kept poking me in the eye, and I was so uncomfortable, and it was horrible. I don't know. It wasn't my best. It would be probably something people would make fun of.
Yeah, but it's an experience.
Yeah, of course. Oh, it was an experience for sure.
Okay.
That's all you need. It's gotta do the experience. Eventually it builds up, it adds up.
Yeah.
Everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah. So
you made it big. You're on our podcast.
Yeah. Look,
you've hit the big time.
Look at you now, kid. Huh?
So famous. Thank you.
Who knows where this is gonna lead?
Yeah. So I know Marshall, where did we find Natalie to help us out?
Well, I put an ad on St. Louis auditions for help at the con, and she was one of the few, or not few, but many people who applied, and just what she had to say, and then how what matched up with what we were looking for,
Sure.
fit perfectly. So that's how I.
And people can still find you there if they're shooting a film or doing a play or something. They'll be able to find you there.
Yeah, I'm always looking on SEL auditions for any film things, and then sometimes people.
So bad it's scary.
Thanks, Hacksaw.
That's Hacksaw Jim Duggins, everybody.
He's really large. People do reach out to me through Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, all those social media apps. So yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Is there any social media you want to plug?
If you don't want to give it out, that's fine. But if you want,
Oh, I got a whole want to plug my
Go for it.
Instagram.
plug
Go
it.
for it.
Shameless plug away.
Thank you. Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram. It's NAT_G_FIORE, Fiore. So, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
All right,
So
everybody,
follow her on
follow her.
Instagram.
Yes.
I imagine she's going to have some pictures of the con up. So
Get them numbers up.
yeah. So
Yes.
get some following there. So thank you very much, and we're gonna continue here. You're gonna see pictures of us with Natalie working the con. So yeah, thanks again.
Now get
Thank
back
you.
to work.
All right, so we're still here at Contamination doing our Man on the Street, and here we have Johnny Fears.
What's up, man?
Fears.
All right, so
I have the most appropriate name for a horror convention. Fears.
Is that
yeah.
legitimately your last name?
It is. You want to see my driver's license?
Is it spelled F-E or PH?
It's like you fear something with an S. Fears.
Fears.
Everyone
That's
thinks
like
it's
the cool. Yeah, it's the coolest last name.
Well, a couple weeks ago, I mean, I've had it almost all my life, but a couple weeks ago, I hadn't had it done in a while. Someone came up and said, all right, John, I know we work together, but is it fears like you fear something, or is it like a fierce warrior? And I just shook,
fierce.
Yeah, like fierce. And I was like, I'm just shaking my head like, dude, you've known me a year. We've worked together. It's fears.
Well, it's a perfect name,
That is
perfect thing.
Yeah, you
And-
can't be where we're better to be in the horror convention with the last name Fear.
And
Exactly.
you're- And from what I understand, you're a horror guy. You got a YouTube page. Tell us about that.
I am a horror guy, but it's all convention stuff related.
Okay.
I started off with like horror stuff because I love horror movies, like how you guys do. I love
Right.
good horror films, crappy horror films,
Right.
the most unbearable ones. But I was like, what? Because every YouTube channel, you have to kind of pick a theme.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I go to so many conventions, and my girlfriend at the time was like, why don't you just bring your vlog camera and do interviews and do little parodies and little skits and stuff? And it just started growing from there. So if you guys want to check my stuff out, it's
Yeah,
at
shameless plug time.
Yeah.
Shameless
Drop it.
plug.
Shameless plug.
Go
Drop
for
it.
it.
Listen, I'm going to plug for about a whole 2 minutes. No, you go to YouTube, and it's Fearsman26, capital F, EARSMAN 26, and the kind of content there, it's parodies, short films, funny skits, and then just a bucket load of horror conventions, sci-fi conventions, Wizard World, San Diego, all of it.
Wow. You do it all.
I'm sorry. I know this is a little off topic because we're horror, but I started saying. So you've been able to go to the San Diego Comic-Con?
No, I'm going to be.
You're going-
The reason why I put it in there is it's going to be in the future. It's going to be on my channel.
That's like my pilgrim. Like if I was like Jewish people always want to go like Israel and plant a tree. Like I want to
Yeah.
go. I want to go to San Diego Comic Con.
That's the holy motherland
That is
of conventions.
Yeah,
If
That's
you're a
my
nerd,
guy. That's the guy's the strip or whatever. I don't know.
yeah,
That's the big fish.
I
Yeah.
tell people, all right, picture everything you've done in the past. It's peanuts compared to going to San Diego, guys.
Right. Like
Because that's like a guy comes up, Fierce, I've been going to conventions since 2000. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You need to go to San Diego.
If you haven't been to San Diego, you haven't done shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like all the 9-10 conventions I've went to over my lifetime doesn't mean anything, guys. It's all about San Diego. Because I'll give you an example. One of the biggest ones I've ever went to. Have you guys ever went to Wizard World Comic Con?
Yes, I was at 2 years ago. I was at the St. Louis Wizard World Comic Con.
Yeah. So let me just give you a taste of that. This last year 60,000. This year I just asked how many. They said around 70 to 75,000. But at San Diego, it blows that out of the water 100 times over because they had like 150,000
Yeah,
people
it's
show up.
huge.
It's ridiculous.
It just sounds like it's overkill. I mean,
It's like the
don't get me
Super
wrong.
Bowl for geeks.
Yeah, I still want to go. I'll still check it
I
out.
want to go so bad.
And the reason why I started my channel is I was like, I feel bad for all those people that can't come.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like the investigative reporter. I'm like, well, if they can't enjoy it, because I know a lot of people work, because
Sure.
a lot of the conventions are on those days that you work, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now a lot of people work on the weekends.
Yeah.
And I work on the weekends, so I have to take them off months in advance and go. So I'm like, well, I feel bad for all my friends. I'm going to just have, it's kind of like when you come to my channel, it's like the horror / sci-fi, whatever type of convention it is, it's the experience. So they come, well, I didn't have to pay the $60, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just going to watch Fears' channel.
There you go. Yeah.
And then I got a new channel, it's about my life. It's Fears Vlogs.
Okay.
So that's my second channel.
That's a second plug. All right.
Second plug.
Second
Is
plug.
that- is that also on YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
I told you guys, I'm going to be shameless plugging.
I hear
all-
you.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah,
Plug
that's why we're
away.
here. So again, we're here at the Horror Con, the horror sci-fi con.
It's going pretty good today.
yeah, it's not
It's
too
been
bad.
a great day, actually. It's been a lot of fun. I've thoroughly enjoyed this experience. This is our first time at a convention, and I've had a blast.
Yeah.
here.
Now, again, we are Horrible Horror, and you do some horror as well. So, at the end of the day, we do like good horror movies.
We do.
You know,
but we
so-
also love talking about those
But
shitty classic
everybody
ones.
does good movies.
Yeah.
And likes to go. But our bread and butter, we do the shit of the shit.
So
Yes.
What is your favorite bad horror movie? Or
Okay.
one of your favorite bad horror movies?
There's 3 that I can't pick between.
That's
Okay.
why I'm
Fair
saying
enough.
one of them. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I'm
and
the same
I was
way.
telling you guys yesterday, like, there's good horror films, and then there's shitty horror films, but it's so shitty, it's great shit.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes so bad it transcends
Yeah.
back
It
into the
transcends.
good.
That's what I like to say, and I was like, well, I have to get an interview with these guys, and I have to be interviewed by them. So it's like, it's that middle ground, it's shit, but it's great shit,
Yes.
guys. And I have a split between, one is called, have you guys ever seen Uncle Sam?
Yes,
we
Once
have
You
done
Dead.
an episode of Uncle Sam.
I love Uncle Sam, Once You Dead. The second one would be, of course, the classic 80s, the killer clowns from outer space.
We
Did an
did.
episode on that too.
Yep.
Two for two so far.
And then the third one, I hope you guys have seen it. It made, I guess what they were trying to do is they were trying to break off from the Halloween series, and it didn't make any sense, and thank God they didn't do it. Halloween 3.
Okay.
Season of the Witch.
that is the bane of my existence.
Now, for some reason, I want to do it. I'm all about it.
What, your friend's not into it?
He's a huge Halloween head. Huge.
Oh, come on, man. You
And
got to do it.
For some reason, he can't stand.
Silver Shamrock. Yeah, I know the movie.
Oh,
well.
I know the song off by heart.
Yeah,
So
I'm
if you
sure
get
you
fears
do.
going, I could. I don't want to take up your whole show here, but I could sing it for a whole 2 minutes, guys.
But yeah, he just won't. He's just not into it. I'm
9
all
more
for
days
it.
till Halloween.
It's just, I don't know. It's like I know it's.
What is it about that you don't like?
Okay,
Or what is it?
I think it's because when I got into Halloween,
Okay.
I got hooked at a young age with Michael Myers, Halloween 1, Halloween 2, and then when it got to 3, I remember the first time watching it.
You were so excited
I
to
was
see
so
Michael
excited.
Myers.
Yeah, I was like, "Where's Michael Myers? Where's Michael Myers?" And like, okay, he's not here. He's not here. And they're like, "Oh," at the end, they get to the warehouse. I'm like, "Okay, maybe he's gonna come out from behind these boxes. Where's Michael?" And then I went the whole movie as like a 10-year-old or something like that, waiting for Michael Myers, and he never shows up. And all I got was these stupid fucking Halloween masks and 8 kids alive. Like, where the fuck is Michael Myers?
Wow, this guy is going nuts.
Yeah.
And I was so pissed and so disappointed as a kid that from that moment on, that movie became like the top of my list of like just the shit I would never acknowledge.
You can see this runs deep.
Or like ever want to see again or talk about.
So 2 real quick questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
One, do you like to your friend here? Do you think that you may try to convince him and do a show on Halloween 3?
I think that's the move. I mean, especially now after hearing the passion in his voice and the fact that we do horrible horror, and it's considered one that's
Because
not
you
a
could
good
do a
movie.
2 different take. You could say on your take, I love it, and then you could say the bad stuff about it.
We already know what he did. We already know his answer.
I just gave away my half.
But you got to do it on the show
Do
officially.
it on the show.
Yeah,
Official,
yeah.
my
You
official
officially put the
remarks.
stamp on it. Yeah.
And then my second thing was is he actually makes appearance in the film. Did you know that?
Oh.
He's on the television.
Yeah, I would say it's a television. It's like archive footage on the television in a background scene. or
Because
something.
when Dr. Chalice is like in that room and he's like tied up, the evil guy of the toy factory is like, enjoy the horror-thon.
Yeah.
When he leaves, he's watching Halloween on the television.
I remember that, but again, I remember it now. Like I realized it later, but
Yeah,
as
yeah.
a kid, I didn't pick up on it, so to me, it didn't count.
Because right when you said that, I was like, he does make a cameo. He's in there somehow, some way.
But then when I learned later, like, oh, they were trying to do something. Oh, we're gonna try to make it an anthology. So like each Halloween is like a little different.
A different Halloween.
We're gonna close the
Yeah.
book on Michael Myers and go a different.
Because
kinda
I think what it was is I've watched like reruns and I mean not reruns. I've watched interviews and stuff on YouTube
Yeah.
and on television. They honestly did not think in a million years. They're like, all right, we've already done Michael twice. I don't think he's gonna like pick up anymore.
But this
Right.
was the '80s when like Freddy and Jason, like that was the thing. Like the slasher.
And I don't
killer
know
was
why.
hot.
I don't know why they thought that. So they said, well, they said we've got a Halloween series. Let's try and do something different every single movie.
Right. Yeah.
And like, have the Halloween theme. And
Now,
it just didn't pull off.
Like you would compare it nowadays to like the American Horror Story TV show,
Right.
Where reoccurring actors come back every year in different stories, different
But it's
characters.
completely different characters, different
And
scenarios.
it works
things
for
like
that, but at the time, in the '80s when Freddy and Jason and
Freddy
Chucky,
always comes
where
back,
that was
yeah.
like the cream of the crop, the peak of horror in the '80s. To get rid of like your iconic franchise slasher was just, it blew my mind.
And this was his favorite one. His favorite was always Michael
And-
Myers.
oh, it is. My favorite
And the thing was, it
is
didn't
Michael.
start off that way because the reason it became my favorite is because when I was a kid, he was the one that legitimately scared me as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was the one like.
I mean, he just looks weird.
Yeah.
He's got the jumpsuit on, that emotionless face.
the whitewashed, emotionless
And the
face.
way he walks, like he'll walk like a shark, and then he just turns, and then like whatever he sees, he's like, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, it
does
is-
not say a word, and then it's just like from
Exactly.
here to here, I'm killing you, and that's it.
It's very shark-like. You know, he's
Yes.
just on a mission. Black
Yeah,
eyes.
it was exactly that.
You know,
Yes.
every
The
movement is
emotional
purposeful.
face
It's
the way
like
he
Jaws,
moves.
but more horror.
Yeah, like I remember kids would be like, "Oh, Jason's here." I'm like, he's got his moments. But I would have nightmares as a kid of Michael Myers, and because of that pure, actual fear as like an 8-year-old kid. And then as I got older, I appreciated that he was the one that
Yeah,
scared me the most.
exactly.
And it became my favorite.
And now, if they would have just called it Season of the Witch, I think it would have did a great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will concede that if they would have dropped the Halloween title from it completely and just called it Season of the Witch, and
I think it would have been
something,
great.
I would not have objected as much to it. But when you come on Halloween 3 and you're expecting Michael Myers, that's your audience expecting that. it's kind of like a big
It's
fuck
so
you to the
it's
audience.
so shitty, and it's got such a great fan quality
Yeah.
like to it. I love it. Do you know the actual Silver Shamrock song they were having? I'm such a nerd when it comes to this. Is I'll let you in a little secret. Is they were having so many copyright problems. They were thinking, well, what can we use? And John Carpenter just came up to them and said, look, just use the theme of that old song,
London Bridges.
London Bridge is
Yeah.
falling down, and then just change the words. And
Holy
then,
shit, you're right. That is London Bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Silver Shamrock, you know.
London Bridge is still. Oh my God! You just blew my mind.
I know. I told you. I know my Halloween 3 shit, man.
You do. Well,
And,
tell you
you
what,
know, it's-
if we get around to doing a Halloween 3 episode,
You gotta have me on the show.
We will get your information, and we will make sure you are our guest for that episode.
I'm telling you, we got to do it, man. It's awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me on the
No,
show.
yeah, of course.
you've been a
It's
blast,
great.
and yeah.
So
we
again,
will,
tell us, remind the listeners what you got.
All right, guys. Another shameless plug. Two more shameless plugs. Fears Vlogs is my second channel on YouTube. Fears Vlogs, and then my first channel, my most popular channel, is Fearsman26. Like I said, we got parodies, we got skits, we got short films, cartoons, we got just a bucket load of convention footage. You guys got to check it out.
All right, so check
Yeah,
out
we'll
Fears
check it
on
out.
YouTube. I mean,
Mr. Fears.
All right,
Fears.
thank you so much, man.
All
Really
right, man.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for your time.
Thanks, guys. I
right,
appreciate
Enjoy
it.
the rest of the con.
Peace out.
All right.
Okay, sitting down with us now is horror author Vince Churchill. He is here at the con promoting his books. Vince, why don't you just go ahead and tell our listeners what it is that you write and what it is that you are your specialty is, I guess. What's your thing? What you got?
All right, well, first of all, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
I am the anti-Stephen King, I tell people all the time.
Okay.
My stuff is the 70s, raw, ugly, dirty, just this, what I call the stuff that people want, the primal stuff. So we're talking the scary stuff, sex, violence. We try to keep it raw, try to keep it real.
All right. Well, that sounds really interesting to me. I kind of like the fact you kind of go into a throwback to that more primal and kind of maybe visceral type of storytelling and writing. That could be very entertaining and very engaging, as opposed to something like you said, maybe some of the more mainstream commercial stuff that's out there these days.
Yeah, that's like, and again, we're kind of more of a PC era these days, so it sounds like you're more sex, drugs, rock and roll, violence, let's get dirty. So am I on the right track there?
You're on the right track. I grew up in the 70s in the drive-in.
Okay.
So
Ah,
Texas
the grind-
Chainsaw, that
Grindhouse movies, right?
Yeah, that's the seed. So, and then I just can't really get very far away from that at all.
You seem like such a nice guy, though.
But we always do, don't we?
Yeah, I know. That's what I always say.
We-
It's the
we-
nice
we-
ones you least suspect.
Yeah.
But like last house on the left, there's certain movies when you see them, they just imprint on you.
Yes.
When my mom took me to see The Exorcist, we lived in a small town. We had to go through a picket line, very big Catholic
Really?
town.
Wow.
Had to cross a picket line to get in to see it, and
That's a true horror fan
That
right
is a
there.
true horror
yeah.
fan.
So
Yeah.
my mom,
In fact,
big
your mom
influence.
took you to see that. That's even kind of cooler and crazier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she-
Like I cross the picket line, I get, but your mom actually allowing you to take you across that line and say, you know what, I'm going to take you to see this regardless. That's pretty awesome for
That's
her
awesome.
to do that.
Yeah, she's a good woman. Good woman.
Good deal. All right, so you were talking about some of your books. What are some of the titles of some of your books, and where can some of our listeners find them?
Well, they are available everywhere. If you go on Amazon, they're there. For people who might want a signed copy, if you go to Amazon, check them out, and you like them, they can always reach out to me through my website, which is just vincechurchill.com. I have an author page on Amazon, but this is the premiere of my 7th book. So in order, they go Dead Shall Inherit the Earth, The Blackest Heart, Pandora, Butcher Bride, Goodnight My Sweet, Hide, and now Midnight Eternal. So
Now, if this is your 7th book now, and you listen to them in order, was that chronological, or is this like a series where you have to read?
no, they're all standalones except the 2nd and 3rd, which are kind of a space western.
Okay.
The first is a zombie book, but it came out in 2002. So me and Brian Keene were right at the beginning with The Rising. Xbox Magazine actually celebrated one of the 37 great zombie
Oh, wow.
zombie
That's
things.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
great. It was just one of those weird things. It just
and that one's
perfect
called
timing.
The Rising?
That's called The Dead Shall Inherit the Earth.
Oh, Dead Shall. I thought you
Yeah,
said The
yeah.
Okay.
Brian Keene's was The Rising.
Oh,
and they were
Brian-
like the first two
okay.
big. Well, actually, I kind of piggybacked off of Brian, and that's kind of what started the zombie thing. And there weren't a lot of books then.
No,
There
that,
really
that was
weren't.
before the zombie craze really came back
Yeah.
in the full like mainstream. And that's one thing I remember as a kid growing up. Once besides like Friday 13th or like the Halloween movies, I loved zombie
Me too.
movies. That was like when I first saw the original Night of the Living Dead when I was like, I don't know, 10 or 12 or something like that. I got hooked on it. I saw the remakes, and I just loved, and I just always stuck with me, those zombie movies. And to see them coming back was I found it so much joy in that. It was a pleasure. Because there was a big gap in that for a while. It went in a wave. Like in the 80s, you had the Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead series. And then there was kind of just a gap until like really I think like 2000.
Mid-2000s, really.
The remake of Dawn of the Dead, they redid that, and that I think kind of, as far as film go, I think that really kind of helped push back into the mainstream.
And that's kind of when the Walking Dead comic started. It
Yeah.
was in the mid-2000s, and it just all snowballed from there into this massive popular genre it is today. But so you're ahead of your time.
Yeah, I got very lucky. You know, it's one of those things where sometimes you write because of the market. You say, oh, Twilight's big, so somebody
Right.
likes writing vampires,
Exactly.
blah, blah, blah. But I was a big fan. It's weird. I saw the original Dawn of the Dead before I saw the original Night of the Living Dead. And it wasn't maybe just a few months after that where I had this idea about zombies in space, and it was really Dawn of the Dead that planted that seed.
Yeah, that's
a
great.
great
So
movie.
your most recent work, what is this? Now this is a standalone book on its own, right?
Yeah,
and
Midnight Eternal.
Midnight Eternal. And what is kind of the horror genre that you're taking this on us?
I'm always blending stuff all the time. So this is like a horror comic book riff. I'm a big Batman Joker fan.
Okay.
Oh, that's
So,
okay.
I tell people, it would, like if it were a movie log line, it would be The Dark Knight meets Face Off. So
Hey,
it's,
it's kind of like a flip flop of the characters that you have in a way, like taking on their different personalities. Am I kind of guessing right there?
It's close. I'm kind of a what if guy.
I guess we have to read the book.
So, and it's illustrated, which makes
great.
it nice.
Okay.
But it's basically, I just had the idea that, I always like, again, that Batman-Joker relationship, that symbiotic thing. But I always wondered if not only if they switched bodies, but in Face Off at the end, they end up switching back.
Right.
But if Bruce Wayne goes into the Joker's body, but he can't go back, and his body gets destroyed, so he's trapped being the Joker,
Yeah.
what happens?
What does he do?
And
Yeah.
that's what my book is about. So you have this vigilante who goes into like the number one villain's body, but his body gets destroyed, can't go back, and he kind of finds a freedom in there to do things that he wouldn't allow himself to do before, but now he can because everybody's expecting horrible things, but he tries to turn that power into something good.
That's a kind of really cool concept.
Yeah,
I'm
I like
very
that a
intrigued
lot.
by that.
Yeah,
Really
I am too. So, have you ever thought about writing for comic books or writing a comic
Thought
book
about
itself?
it, but it's weird.
Sounds like you have a mind for it.
Well,
so.
I worked a long time in LA at Showtime, so I dabble a little bit in script writing, but the comic writing, it's interesting because you meet a lot of artists, but I like to write my books because I know once, I have people that I can publish with, and it's just like being here.
Yeah.
You could see that end result. A lot of times with comics, you get caught up in, you do your part of the work, but there's a problem with the artist.
Yeah.
There's money issues, and then
There's a
things
lot
kind
of moving
languish.
parts.
So,
Yeah.
the artist, the inker, the colorist, like, all these people working separately. So I can see your point on that.
But it's a cool bridge kind of between writing books and writing scripts, which is very visual, but it's so so dialogue driven. It's a completely separate thing. But in between, when you're working on a comic, and I've done small comic things and small horror things, it's kind of fun. But until you actually see the panels,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird.
It doesn't really come to life, I guess.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I mean, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
We got to ask this.
Yeah,
You've asked everybody. We are here. Give us what is one of your all-time favorite horror movies? One of, or a few of your favorite that you can remember.
Oh, dude. Well, we mentioned Dawn of the Dead. If I go back really old school, I would say I Saw What You Did, I Know Who You Are, which is an old black and white, like mid-'60s thriller, which is awesome. I'm wasting time. So,
No.
Because I just remember my mom was a big black and white thriller fan, so Betty Davis, Joan Crawford kind of movies. So it's kind of,
All right.
But there was a scene when I was younger where the girl, I don't know if she's a babysitter or whatever, it's all the stark black and white. She's gets in the car and gets ready to drive away, and the killer just rises up behind her. They do like these prank calls, and that always stuck with me. And it's like, without the blood, the guts, without the the profanity, but you can still make something scary.
Absolutely.
And that movie always just stayed with me. But we're talking, gosh, man, there's way too many movies.
I know. We just want
So then we have a follow-up to that.
The follow-up
is, of course, we're Horrible Horror Podcast. We watch some of the worst horror movies we can find. But, of course, there's those couple movies that are so bad. Oh, my God, they're so bad. You got to call up your best friend and say, you've got to see this movie. It's so ridiculous. It's fun. Is there one of those types of movies that stand out in your mind?
You know what? The first thing that comes to mind, and I'm not sure why it jumped in there, Human Centipede.
Yeah.
Because I think it's one of those movies you really do have to see.
Yes.
I mean, if you watch the trailer, I mean, you know what it is.
Yeah.
But to see it,
Yeah.
it's just so.
I agree with
the
you on that one.
audacity of
Right.
it is just. But that comes to mind. Let me think. See, I did not come prepared. I need to
Sorry,
make a
that's right,
list.
It's all right. It's all right. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we do. But yeah, Human Centipede, that's definitely a really weird one, man.
The sequels get even weirder. Like,
Yeah.
The first one is pretty, like I said, to see it is believing in that. Like, you know
Yeah.
what it is, but once you actually see it, it's kind of like, whoa, like you can't unsee it.
Yeah,
But then the
that's true.
sequels just get almost too ridiculous. Like they go almost too far.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're pretty crazy. Like, the visual shock of that is kind of sticks with you.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
So again, where can they find your work at?
Again, if they want to check it out on Amazon, but all the online deals have them. If they want a signed copy, they can reach out to me at VinceChurchill.com. I sign things and mail things out all the time. But again, Midnight Eternal, that's the one. Superheroes are kind of big now.
Yeah.
And I understand it's not Batman or Superman, it's all original, villains in it, but it's a nice blend of superhero action and horror stuff. And I think people will dig it. It's fun, and the illustrations
I'm
make it great.
intrigued because I grew up loving comics and superheroes, and obviously we're here at a horror con, so we love
Yeah.
that too. And that's just blending like two of my favorite
Genres,
or
yeah.
worlds into one. So that's, to me, I'm like, that's awesome. Like,
Perfect. So check out Vince Churchill.
Yes.
You can check him out at vincechurchill.com, and you can also check out his different pieces of work on Amazon and check him out. Sounds great.
All right, thank you very much for taking
All
down
right,
and speaking with us, Vince.
thank you so much.
Oh,
I appreciate it, man.
Hey, no problem.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Okay, sitting down with us now here, another author, local author, St. Louis-based Kenny Sills, who has written a very unique book with a unique twist on it, which we'll let him tell you about in further detail. But Kenny, thank you for sitting down and spending some time with us and tell us more and the listeners more about the book you've written. So take it away. Describe it to our listeners.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all, guys.
Of course.
Well, my book, it's about a serial killer, and he knocks his victims out when they wake up. They're naked and tied down to an autopsy table, and he's playing classical music, and then he starts cutting their tattoos out of them before he kills them. The unique little twist that I did was when you get to those parts in the book where he's playing classical music, you go to my website, you click a button, and it plays the music that he's playing for his victims. So you're right there in the room with them, listening to what the victim is hearing while he's getting cut, or she is getting cut open.
Man, so the book is Tattoo, A Beautiful Sin.
Correct.
So, and there he is, cutting off the tattoos of his victims before murdering. Now, I know Marshall's
I've read the first 3 chapters of it. I read
Right
the first
on.
3 chapters last night. Got started into the 4th chapter. Got a few pages into chapter 4, and I gotta say I was kind of hooked. Again, chapter 1. I will say for now, because I was just for time purpose, I did skip over the prologue for now. But I'm gonna go back and read it. But I got hooked from chapter 1. The initial with I'm trying not to give spoilers away, but I want to say, is his name Leigh? L-A-T?
Leigh, correct, yep.
That was pretty gripping, and I remember when I was sitting there reading that, and I haven't had this much, I haven't really felt it in a while, but there was an actual time when I was feeling like if I was in his position, and feeling that the tension and the stress and the fear, I was like, man, this is pretty effed up, I wouldn't even know how I would react. It's messed up, but I got hooked on it. And another thing that's kind of cool because you are a local, you're St. Louis based. The book takes place not too far from, but like outside like Grand Rapids, Iowa. So it's
Michigan.
Like, Michigan.
Michigan,
Thank you. I'm thinking Iowa.
Yep.
Michigan. And then you have reference to St. Louis and like Cape Girardeau and a few other places in the area. So, so for local people, it's kind of cool, when you have some local interaction.
Little local flavor, yeah.
Right. I'm writing the second book now, which takes place in Cape Girardeau.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
cool.
So I haven't read it yet. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but we were at the con all day yesterday. You're right across from us. We're it's basically work. I mean, you're standing up, you're talking to people, you're on your feet from 11 to about 9 o'clock when everything's said and done, everything's packed up.
Right.
And Marshall still went home, had to watch a movie, and then read chapters of the book. And I'm thinking, there's no way he's going to get through it. The fact that because he said, I'm going to read 2 chapters.
I asked him to just read the first 2.
He told me I'm going to read 2 chapters.
Right.
The fact that he read got into chapter 3 and started chapter 4 when this guy is about to fall asleep, that kind of tells me that's a pretty gripping story. That's something that's going to keep your attention, because there's so much stuff out there. It's like you got to be able to snag your reader right away and get them hooked and get them into it, so they don't want to put it down, because there's so much other stuff out there. And the fact that he was able to do that, I gotta say, it sounds pretty intriguing. I might have to.
Yeah, chapter, like I said, it hooked. I got hooked right away with how it opens, and then, I mean, it jumps, like you said, you pretty much just jump right into the meat and the potatoes. I mean, you're hooked right away.
Yeah.
And the fact that I said it is a little interactive with the where you include the website with the music.
Now, did you do that?
I will say last night I did not get a chance to do it, but I went this morning. I got back. I went there on this morning before I came here, and I went through the website and went through the first 2 first musical pieces that I counted in the book.
Right.
And I gotta say, when I was listening to those musical pieces, and I'm thinking back, like, oh, this is what was happening during like, God damn it, this is even weird. Like, it's not like, it's a different kind of scary. It's just this cerebral
you're there, man.
creepiness of like, imagine being naked strapped to a table and this is playing, and it really kind of puts you in a mindset where it's like, that's fucked up.
Sounds like it takes you a lot deeper, yeah.
And again, just visualizing your antagonist, like a conductor, like you're writing a book with the scalpel, with this music going on,
right?
And how interacting with this victim. I was like, God, it's a really kind of unique thing that I've never experienced a book that way when reading. I have the audio there with it, so it's really cool and a great way to submerge yourself into the story and put yourself in the shoes or in the location of the action.
It kind of puts you in the moment. I mean, quite literally puts you in another sense. I mean, it stimulates your audio side of it. I mean, it sounds really cool. I'm really intrigued by that. So we're right across the booth from you, and you have a great display. Your visual display is fantastic. I mean, you have a kind of a mannequin who I guess is representing your killer.
Yeah, he's got a life-size killer.
Yeah, like a life-size killer. Yep. You have great, presentation, but I also have been watching this for 3 days now, watching these clips go by, and I'm just curious. I mean, is this on your website? Is this someone that the fans can also see?
Yeah. If you go to the website and go to the videos page, I've got both of those videos on there.
Okay,
I saw those on the website this morning.
Yeah.
I was checking out the website a little more thoroughly. It's very cool. I do have a few questions for you about them. I noticed in the your author bio is the character of Sydney. Is that based on your wife by any chance?
Same spelling.
Same spelling. That's what I know. Like exact same spelling. So I'm like, there's some inspiration there from somewhere.
Yeah, she gets a little embarrassed because when you get further into it, you'll see why.
I'm sure. Hey-o. All right. Like we do, since this is a horror movie podcast, we will ask you the same questions we asked everybody else. Give us one of your favorite horror movies of all time that you've ever seen. Like, one or two. What are some of the first?
The scariest one, and I was a grown man, and it scared the hell out of me, was Blair Witch Project.
Blair Witch.
I saw it before. I saw it like opening. Before they were like, it's just a movie.
Yeah.
When me and my buddy Mike Wolver thought it was real, and it did something to my head because I didn't sleep that night, and I was a grown man.
I knew a lot of people that had that reaction because that came out like 97, 98, I want to say. It was like my freshman
99, 2000. I was back in St. Louis, so it had to have been after 99.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just remember a lot of the people, especially like the girls I was in college with, who saw it, like they thought it was real, and they were just freaked out. And
Yeah.
then they would refuse to ever go camping again.
Yeah.
It really messed with some people.
I mean,
serious
Exorcist
people.
was scary, but the Blair Witch did something to me.
Well, also Blair Witch was kind of released when it first got released. People were still kind of questionable whether or not this was an actual
That's what I
raw
mean, yeah,
footage. People, I
right.
mean, it
Because
wasn't.
that was the first of its kind. That's
Yeah.
the movie that really
Except the
exploded
genre.
into the
Yeah.
whole found footage,
Right.
first person.
So for the first the first week or so, people were like, is this real? Is this
That's-
real stuff? And then it
yeah.
kind of came up, no, it's not real.
Right.
Well,
you know?
yeah, because even the
But-
actors in that movie, like for a while after it was released, were like kind of disappeared.
Yeah,
stayed
they-
out of the
yeah,
movie
yeah,
to kind of
right,
add
yeah.
to the mythos of it.
And of
So-
course, my friends, when they found out it freaked me out, they would stay in the corners when I came into the room.
That's perfect.
And the follow-up then is what may be one of the worst horror movies you've seen? Like just pure garbage that you can think of. Or
Man.
one that was so bad it transcended bad and came around to be good again.
You know what? I when I was a kid, same guy, we used to watch horror movies.
Yeah.
You know, when we were kids, every Friday night we'd go to the video store back then, and we got Phantasm,
Yes.
and we got Don't Be Afraid of the Dark
Okay.
back then. Scared us to death, and then I told my wife, these were the scariest movies when I was a kid. We got to watch these, and they weren't scary at all. They were bad.
That's what happened to me with Ghoulies.
Ghoulies. Oh
Ghoulies,
my gosh,
when I was a
yes.
little kid, I saw that. My mom thought it'd be like, oh, it's like Gremlins, he'll like it.
Right.
And for some reason, I was alone watching. I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I
Yeah.
watched, and I was just scared shitless.
Yeah, yeah. Funny story. When I was watching Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and it was scaring me, you know, and it was like late at night, and we had an earthquake.
Oh,
that
wow.
night at the time that the movie was going on. So my house shook when I was watching the movie. Freaked me out. And I came out the next morning, and I was telling my neighbor about it, and I was like, oh my God, I was so scared I was watching this movie. She goes, me too. So we hugged each other. We were scared.
That's great.
That's
That's great.
Now, also, since you are based in St. Louis, you also, on the side, besides being an author, you are also I believe, a Muay Thai instructor, right? Or you
Muay
were?
Thai is part of what
Part
I
of
do.
it?
It's called Kaju Kenbo.
Okay.
It's a mixture of the Kaju and Kenbo, and they stand for karate, judo, and jiu-jitsu, Kempo, and Chinese boxing. I also have Muay Thai background and Jeet Kune Do, which was Bruce Lee's
Yes.
style. Yeah.
And so, I mean, you have, like, you're an instructor and you teach
I
somewhere
have
in
a
the
school
area?
in St. Charles.
Like I said, if you want to plug
Oh,
it-
yeah.
plug it-
Ohana Martial Arts. Ohana is the Hawaiian word for family. We're right at the corner of 70 and First Capitol, right across from the QT station
Okay.
in St. Charles.
In St. Charles.
Monday and Wednesday nights, come on by. We've got classes for adults, kids, and people with special needs, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
autism.
That's really
Been
great.
doing it for 15, 16 years.
Wow.
That's great. That's
That's
fantastic.
amazing.
Yeah, we love it.
Great.
Now, I believe you said you're working on your follow-up for the book,
Yes.
right? And do we kind of have it a expected date? I know with books it's a little different because you don't necessarily have the same deadlines as films do because
Yeah.
you're always going back and editing and fine-tuning. But
Yeah.
is there kind of a mental idea of when we might be looking to expect this to be released, to be found?
By the end of this year.
End of this year.
I'm crossing my fingers.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm crossing my fingers.
And then you can find it on your website. You can buy it on your website.
Yeah, buy it on my website. You can email me at tattooauthor@gmail.com, and I can send you one. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on anything like that. Come to the cons. Anybody who reads it, my email is in there. As soon as they're done reading the book, they can email me, and I'll send them the title of the next book and the first couple few pages.
Great. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You get free.
You get a little
preview.
morsel. You get
Yeah.
a little
It's
taste.
like
Little taste.
it's like the trailer at the end of a Marvel
Yeah.
Avengers movie.
Right,
After the
right,
credits are
right.
over, you get the little scene
Yeah.
Just
for
get a
next
little
one.
taste.
First one's free.
Yeah, there you go. First one's free.
That's how they hook you.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's how they get you.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna. Thank you so much, Kenny.
Yeah,
for,
thank you.
That you get back to your booth and sell
Yeah,
more of your
man.
books. So thank you so much for taking this time. It was a great pleasure. I've thoroughly enjoyed the book so far. I look forward to finishing it.
Man, my honor on being on here, man. I appreciate
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Thank you so much. I guess that's it.
Check 'em out.
Check them out.
Right on.
everybody.
Thanks,
Kenny
guys.
Sills.
All right, thank you. Here we are again at Contamination, the horror, sci-fi, and pop culture con in St. Louis, Missouri, and we are featuring yet another local author here. This is Leigh Savage. How are you doing today, Leigh?
I'm doing wonderful, and I'm excited to be here.
All right, great. So Leigh writes, from what her description was here, was kind of horror erotica. Something a little more on the savage side, maybe. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? You like that little play on words?
Yes, I
All
do.
right, okay.
Yes, my vampires still feed on humans. They do not sparkle.
That's nice to know.
And my serial killers actually kill, and you get to have the description of the murder.
So that's already I'm a plus in my book. As soon as you said my vampires don't sparkle, I'm in.
Yeah, when you said my vampires don't sparkle, I'm like, yes. Okay.
Like
done.
I'm sold already.
All right, great. So you've been writing. How long have you been writing now?
I have been writing actually since high school.
Okay.
I saw Dracula, Love Never Dies, and fell in love with vampires and could not find any romance vampire stories, so I started writing my own.
I
Awesome.
love it. It's like, you know what? I don't see any. I'm just gonna go and start doing it.
Exactly.
right.
That's awesome. Take the initiative. Make it happen.
Okay. So how many? So right now, I'm guessing, are you self-published? Do you have a publisher?
I am self-published.
And I'm starting to think more that's the way to go, because I think they get a big chunk of your profits out of there. So
They
and
do.
with the internet, the way social media is going,
Well, yeah. Plus, like
self-publishing.
I said, like Amazon now and everything.
Yeah.
It's so much easier for authors to get their works out there, get noticed, and start getting some recognition.
Right.
And the traditional publishing company wanted me to cut out the rape scene, wanted me to cut out the murders, the descriptions of the murders from the serial killer. They wanted me to tame down the sex. So
You're taking all the fun out of it.
they were like, that's what you need to do to fit into traditional romance. I'm like, I don't want to fit into traditional romance.
Yeah, exactly. That's not your thing. That's not
And
what you're going for.
they were like, but we want something new. But then they wanted to cut it and make it back into what
We
they
want
already
something
had.
new and fresh, but we want to put it in this little
the exact
box.
same
Yeah.
mold that
Yes.
everything else is in.
That's not new and original now. It
So
sounds
I
like your
decided to
stuff.
go on my own.
That's awesome. And so you've been writing since high school. How long have you been kind of writing this type of this genre, this kind of a horror, erotica, murder scene, badassness?
I think I first got published. I started writing my first full-length book in 2003 and got it published. I believe it was 2005. I self-published.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So since 2005, and your stories, do you have continuing characters, or is each one just kind of a standalone book?
With the St. Louis Vampireville series, what happens is minor characters become major characters, so that you can read them standalone. And if you read the other books, then you just know who the other characters are, because they're still featured in it. They're just not the main characters
So you still
anymore.
you actually have a universe then?
Yes.
You have a world where these characters exist.
And the world is basically based off of St. Louis.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
That's
do
another
like
great
that.
thing for a local readers. Like I always love. I mean, it just makes it when you read something like that you can really relate to, especially located. It just gets you into the story more. So for the local people, that's wonderful. That's
it feels
great.
more organic too, kind of knowing where it's at. Even if it's a city I've been to before, if it's like Chicago or Kansas City or New York or wherever.
In Shadows of My Past, I actually, if you're from here, and I give it a different name, but I talk about the old Mississippi Nights and
Yes.
the murder.
Mississippi Nights. We missed that place. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah.
we talk about that. We went there so often for shows and concerts.
There's
and
not a
then
good small venue around in St. Louis.
Mississippi
Yeah.
Nights was great. R.I.P.
And I had to change the name of it, but I described the location, and like a chick gets kidnapped from there. She gets taken across the river to a seedy motel, and that's where she gets murdered.
Soje.
So somewhere in the Soje area, and for any of our local listeners, the Soje Ballet is a very popular thing to do for young men who like to check out naked ladies.
Yeah, the Soje Ballet. Indeed, it is.
So, any new works that you have? Anything that? So you're here at the con. Obviously, you're going to be promoting certain books. So what right now is hot off the presses? What are you trying to push right
My
now?
newest books are Twisted Destinies and Godey's Three Bears. Godey's Three Bears was just nominated for Best Menage. It didn't win, but it made top 5.
Best Menage.
Yes, 3 guys, 1 girl.
Oh.
Twisted
When I thought, I was like,
Destinies-
okay, is this a menage like menage a trois, or is this like something I'm not
No.
some
Yeah.
weird award I don't know? So okay,
And then I had
awesome.
Twisted Destinies has a one-on-one story and then a sub-story within it where it's 3 females and 1 guy.
Okay.
Lucky
Actually,
bastard.
3 goddesses and 1 guy.
Even
actually.
luckier bastard.
Yeah. That's a good way to spend your Friday night.
Yeah.
So I kind of love it. So is there anything else that's coming down the pipe right now? Is something you have things in the works?
Currently working on a prequel to the St. Louisville Vampire series that's called Surrender to the Night. I'm hoping to have the rough draft ready by the end of this summer before I go back to college and have it out in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And then since I met him over there, I just blanked on the name.
Are you referring to Bishop Stevens?
Yep,
Yes.
Bishop Stevens.
He wants to be on a book cover. And I told him it's like 3 books down the way. I introduced like a villain, vampire, wrestler,
I think you
He's
just
like,
nailed it.
"Make it
Yeah.
for me,"
You got
so
your man.
He wants to be on the book cover.
He's
so,
got a very imposing presence. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's agreed to be the book cover
Oh,
model. for
right.
that.
Awesome.
So
Okay,
that's
cool.
a little bit down the way.
Networking. at its
Fantastic.
finest.
So you mentioned college. Where you go? I'm just
but
curious.
I go to Maryville University. I'm
Okay.
studying to be a nurse.
Aaron here is a nurse as well.
I am a nurse. Yeah, I've been a nurse for 6 years. I was a nursing instructor, and right now I'm actually in infection control. So, yeah, I take care of some of those people who may take your works to heart, practice all the things that are happening in the book, and then all of a sudden they have something that they don't want.
Well, what I get is, now are you going to write naughty nurse stories?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. I love paranormal. So.
Well, you can actually blend it because guess what? This is something that I really kind of, whenever I'm watching a horror movie or watching things about death, for example, so many people die in a hospital. I mean, that's where the majority of people actually finally die. You don't want to talk about spirits. You want to talk about stories. You want to talk about accidents, things that, and I know it's been done before and people have touched on it, but I just think it could really expand on it. Things that have happened in ERs, in the morgue, things like, hospitals are fucking scary places. I mean, they really can be, especially when you work a night shift on a psych ward for 3 years. Bam, this guy. So
I'm going to try to be a psych nurse. So.
Okay, all right.
You'll have some amazing
You're trying
stories.
to scare me.
Yeah. Well, I got some stories for you, but we'll talk about those off there if you're interested. But so where can people find? So you said Amazon was a place you can find it,
Yes.
and give us your shameless plug.
All right, you can find me on Facebook by searching Leigh Savage. You can also join my group called Erotica for the Truly Wicked.
Ah, I like it.
Yes. And I also have started a new campaign called Leigh Savage #Erotica Speaks, where we're trying to enlighten people on the erotica culture, the BDSM culture, as well as not just for writers, but for people that do artwork, photography, film, whatever in the erotic industry.
Podcasts.
Yes. We want to put it in a positive light and show that it's empowering, and you should not be ashamed.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're a little
Really
buttoned
great.
down here in the United States. I mean, I think that's not a big surprise. We were raised by Puritans essentially in the 1600s.
Constantly being censored.
So I mean, it's getting out there. It's still struggling to catch up with I think the rest of the Western world. But kudos, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah,
and
this
thank
was
you for what
really
you're doing
great.
because I think it's also important.
I'm very intrigued by it. I'm going to have to try. I'm going to start looking, maybe check some of your stuff out. I'm very
Go right
interested.
ahead.
So,
Thank you.
yes, thank you for your time, and best of luck to you in the future, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you, Leigh. Okay, we are here again at Contamination, the horror, sci-fi, and pop culture of con here in St. Louis, Missouri, and we are sitting down with author Dane Kroll. Kroll, that's right. I'm sorry, I was thinking Crowell, but no, it's Kroll. Dane Kroll. So again, another horror author, local from St. Louis.
No, actually from Kansas.
So we actually
Kansas.
have an out-of-towner. Okay,
Yeah,
that's good.
right.
All right, Kansas, the state, Kansas City, Kansas.
Kansas, the state, Topeka.
Topeka, Kansas.
Capital.
Oh, okay. Keeping it tight. All right. So here in Topeka, Kansas, and here at the con, thank you very much for showing up and tell us a little bit about what you're writing, what you're working on.
Oh, got a couple different things. Some of my horror books, I got some slasher horror, like Black Friday and Palm Springs. So if you guys like, Halloween, Friday the 13th, it's
Love
kind of
'em.
in that
Love
vein
them, yeah,
right there.
yeah. I think my buddy here is probably one of the bigger Halloween fans I've ever met.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
And then Friday the 13th is a very, very close second.
Yeah,
in this
yeah,
series,
those
so.
are some of the good ones.
Yeah, so I'm a Friday 13th guy myself. But so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, like Black Friday, basically it takes place on Black Friday at a supermarket called Best Mart.
Nice.
And so this killer walks in, he's got a reindeer mask on, he steals from the store and their Christmas decorations. He's wandering through the store taking out customers and employees as everyone's trying to mob,
Did you
sales
ever
and
work
whatnot.
retail?
A little bit, yeah. I've worked some retail.
I'm wondering if you're feeling a little pain, like, fuck these people.
Yeah.
Just
so
one-
many customers are like, I want you to die eventually.
Yeah, because
You will.
I've worked retail a long time ago, and I've worked I've worked more Black Fridays than I think I'd like to admit, and it can be pretty intense, and it's kind of interesting when you're talking about actually having a killer walking through some of these crowds, especially these box stores.
Yeah.
I mean, there's literally thousands of people running and moving around. It doesn't matter if you have security cameras or not because it's just a big mess.
Exactly.
And
it's a mob of people that are not paying attention to anything else that's going on.
Exactly, and that actually kind of sets the scene for a pretty good opportunity for a serial killer to make his kill
In a very high body count.
And you can actually start stacking up the bodies. So I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. So is there anything you said you have more? Though.
Yeah, I got more. I also got Palm Springs. It's a biblical slasher.
Okay.
Essentially, the wrath of God's out there in the camp, taking out sinful campers at this Bible camp called Palm Springs.
Well, that almost sounds like almost like sleepaway camp in a way. The funny thing we just did that one yesterday. We did that.
It sounds even almost more like a bloody Bible camp.
Bloody Bible camp. We did
which
that
was
one
a
too.
great another
I'll
one.
check that one out then. Bloody Bible camp.
Yeah, check it out. It was actually surprisingly better than we expected. Not great, but it was a lot better than we expected it to be. And it's kind of a fun little watch.
Nice.
It doesn't take itself too seriously, so it goes smoothly. It's pretty good.
Yeah, because like basically, I was kind of always looking at like Friday the 13th, where there's Jason running around taking out all these bad kids.
Yeah.
And always the good ones are always surviving. I'm like, isn't that kind of what we want? We want the good kids to keep living. And so that just kind of ran into kind of very Old Testament type of stuff where God's taking out sinful people. And so I'm like, I can combine this together.
There you go.
So now we got this Bible camp where there's this wrath of God avenging an angel walking around in the camp, and everyone's like, yeah, if you're a bad kid, we're going to send you over to him. He'll judge you. And if you're damned to hell, you're dead.
I don't think I'd last a day.
I wouldn't either. I'm glad this place does not exist.
Right. So you got the 2 horror, and if I'm not mistaken, was there also a comic book back over there?
Yeah, not comic book. You're probably thinking of Rome of Gorio. It's my giant monster book series.
That's what I was looking at. Yeah, I mean,
the cover is a very comic book.
So and again, I mean, I was just walking by. It looked kind of like the artwork kind of looked like it was inspired in some way in anime or a Japanese flair.
Yeah,
so
like the whole series itself is inspired by the old Godzilla movies.
So like the big monster movies, big monsters, King Kong, Godzilla, Mothra.
Exactly.
Yeah,
the old Toho Showa era and everything like that. Because I grew up watching those movies a lot, and the thing that always bugged me was that if you ever watch the movies, the continuity is really spotty, and sometimes it doesn't really connect. And so I started writing, like, I want to write a giant monster series. I want it all to, flow together. That's always wanted to see in a Godzilla film.
Right.
So, like, in the realm of Goryeo, you got the giant monsters, you got this magic, you got aliens, you got, people in the Pacific Ocean surviving, you got just everything all wrapped up into one gigantic world that everyone's kind of trying to coexist with each other.
So how many of those, I mean, is it a running series?
Yeah, it's an ongoing series. There's 3 out right now. That's kind of season 1 of the series at the moment.
Okay.
And so we'll be starting up probably at 2018, I think the next book will be out, and that's kind of the next leg of the series as kind of war starts to break out between everybody because everyone's got their own interest in trying to survive on Earth, and as everything's kind of crumbling.
Right, and that's something that I mean, from the horror genre, I kind of miss the big monster, the mega monsters. I know they re-released Godzilla, but it's big Hollywood release. But at the same time, Godzilla is always going to be Godzilla. But there was one I liked that came out I think in 2011, 2012. It was a Korean movie called The Host. And I love that one. It was kind of a throwback to just big monsters eating people.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one in a long time, but I liked it.
I liked it a lot. Really so just kind of hearing about monsters, and also I think for some reason I'm drawing a blank right now. Pacific Rim.
Yeah, it was great to see that one pop up and kind of bring giant monsters kind of back into the fray of things.
I was in Benicio del Toro. Come on, it was fantastic.
And I think
really
before both those, you had Cloverfield was.
Yeah, the Cloverfield. That was excited to see.
I mean, that was a little more like Godzilla meets Blair Witch, just because it was like a first person, like found footage style.
Found footage,
But it was still, the whole giant monster destroying.
Yeah,
Rampage.
It was great to see that. I never saw the sequel yet. I haven't seen it.
I actually haven't seen it, but I'm planning on trying to get around to seeing it hopefully this week. The 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, I've heard like it's connected, but it's not connected. I'm like, there's no giant monster in it. So I'm like,
I don't know, but it's got local icon John Goodman in it, and you can't go wrong with John Goodman.
Still watch it. I'll support it.
Yeah. So we're Horrible Horror Podcast. Right. We watch some of the worst movies we can find. Movies so bad they're scary, and we find some gems out there. Right. But at the end of the day, we are horror fans. What's one of your favorite horror movies? Just one of them you can think of.
A Nightmare on Elm Street is probably my favorite horror movie.
That's gone twice now.
It's so good.
Yeah,
he did a wonderful job, and with the low special effects going on, and that's so much better than the CGI that's happening nowadays.
Yes, practical effects. Yeah. And so again, we watch the bad ones. But sometimes we find some that are so horrible, they're fun. You call your friends, dude, you gotta see this. It's so ridiculous. Is there any movie in your head that jumps out to you like there?
Oh, it's so horrible, it's bad. Because you guys already mentioned the Sleepaway Camp. Sleepaway Camp 2
Yeah.
is probably my favorite of the bunch.
That's the one we just did
we just did
yesterday.
that.
Yeah.
We did enjoy it. We gave it a so bad it's good rating, and we thought it was better than what we expected. We enjoyed it.
I remember I watched it on Thanksgiving. I marathoned the first 3 of them because the fourth one had come out at that point, and it became like a Thanksgiving tradition for me and my friends to watch at least the second one because that was the one that just blew us all away. Like, all the death scenes.
Kills
in
in that one. That was a lot of kills.
The girl in the porta potty.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was my favorite one.
That was my favorite kill too. Great. All right. Well, great minds think alike, I think. All right. Well, thank you so much. And
Well,
real
where can
quick,
do we ask where we can find where
shameless plug time.
Shameless plug time.
Shameless plug. Just go to danegkroll.com. And that'll send you the links to my Amazon sites, my Facebook, my Twitter. You can kind of see what I'm up to, usually making giant monster movies or climbing trees, who knows what.
And this is where they can purchase some of your items as well as purchase your books?
Like everything's available through Amazon. The links are all there. They'll take you right to everything, paperback, ebook.
Great. Oh, ebook.
Awesome.
Ebook's fantastic. I'm a big fan of ebook because I'm starting to have to buy more bookcases. And I
struggle is
I'm
real.
trying to I'm trying to just cut down the clutter.
It makes me not want to move.
Yeah.
With so many books I have. I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to live here forever. Sorry, roommate. You're stuck with me.
Well, Dane, thank you so much for
thank you
sitting
very
down and
much.
talking to us, and check them out.
All right, thank you.
Best luck to you, man.
Oh, thanks.
Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're back here at the con, and we are here with author Frank Bennett. But Frank does a little bit more than just write. Frank, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what brought you to the con and what you're trying to promote today?
My name's Frank Bennett. I'm a Bible teacher. I wrote a book called The Encounter with the Aberdeen Wild Man, A True Story. And these are my true paranormal experiences growing up when I was younger. I had many experiences with many strange types of creatures, cryptids, dark entities, and things like that. The Aberdeen Wild Man, and the reason why I chose to make a central point of the book is because he seemed to incorporate elements of both a living being and a spiritual being. So I center him in the book, and I compare him quite extensively with the Sasquatch. I analyze over 1,500 individual Sasquatch encounters, looking for commonalities and characteristics. That also leads me into investigating as well the paranormal, the cryptozoological, which does include Sasquatch, and also UFOs and the likes, because I found commonalities and characteristics that all of them seem to share and have with each other.
So we have relationship between like Bigfoot, paranormal, religion, God, all this stuff is thrown together.
Very much so.
Wow. All right. So
I am a Bible teacher, so I approach it from my angle.
Okay. So this is all from personal experiences, or just things that you've researched?
Well, these are all my experience. I'm trying to actually go back over 35 years and explain the experiences I had personally. And I'm using science, scripture, history, and even some physics to try to break down and explain completely the paranormal.
Wow, that sounds pretty complex.
Yeah, you cover from all angles. Is there one particular? God, I'm thinking of.
Welcome to professional radio.
I can edit this out and later in post. I'm gonna say one experience that with the paranormal that really stands out, or maybe instead that, what was like your very first one that put you on this path to what you're doing?
This is why the Aberdeen Wild Man is the central point of the book. He's among the scariest of the bunch because he appeared to be a living thing, but he did things living people can't do. And he had a spiritual aspect to him. But also as well, he seemed to also be as to what is called a dark entity, which I also ran into. And after encountering both the wild man and the dark entity, you can believe in omens if you want, but within about a year I had lost everything. Home, job, school, friends, all gone. Wow. And I spent most of the 1980s homeless as a result. Wow. And I spent also most of the 1980s looking over my shoulder, expecting to see either the wild man or the dark entity again. It sticks with you. It does.
I have heard like things about that, like whether it's through an object that you bring into your house or just the spirit itself will kind of like cling on to you and follow you around. I have heard stories of this happening, but I've never actually met someone who has had that happen to them. So that's incredible.
Spirits will actually use humans as portage to port them from one place to another, a place where they may not be habitually welcome to. But, latching onto a human takes them to different environments where they may be able to flourish.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Get to people who they normally could not get to.
Kind of like, I guess, using like a human body as like a taxi cab. Or
Very much so, yes.
Nowadays.
Yeah, and I, as a Bible teacher, I direct everybody to the book of Mark chapter 8. And this is where Jesus encounters the man outside the city who had many devils with him. And that's actually the exact pronunciation of it, many devils. And when Jesus queried the man, a spirit spoke from the man and said, "We are legion, for we are many." And the reason why I bring this up is because, and this is the other reason why I wrote the book, where so many people being drawn into investigating the paranormal. They think they're going into a place to investigate one spirit. Lest they know, they're encountering thousands upon thousands of spirits, because that spirit inside the man said to Jesus, "We are legion, for we are many."
Right.
And in a Roman company, the ancient Roman army, a Roman company is a numeration of more than 5,000 soldiers. 5,000 spirits inhabited this one man.
Wow.
So when you go ghost hunting, you think you're hunting one ghost. Think again. You're encountering thousands upon thousands of them. And there's not a thing you can do that can trick them, deceive them. They have the upper hand. You're outnumbered, you're outgunned, you're outsmarted from the second you walk through the door.
So it sounds like you're kind of screwed right out the bat if you come across one of these guys.
You go hunting them, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so it sounds pretty incredible. So how long you been writing?
This is my first book.
Okay.
I've been writing since 2008. My webpage, BibleByBennett.net, BibleByBennett.com, has been, like I said, takes news and events and looks at them through the prism of Bible prophecy. But also, I write on a ton of other topics, whatever's topical to me. And what I think lends to Bible prophecy, I will write about. An example would be recently in the news, this past Memorial Day, this got me hot, is that there were people who were actually going around picking the flags off the graves of Confederate soldiers, long dead. But they were not Confederate flags, they were American flags. And they took them off because they didn't feel that these men were worthy of an American flag. And that got me hot. I had to write about that because, the way we're teaching history is bad, very bad. And the Civil War happened for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not a sales tool, but I don't like how information is fed incorrectly.
No, I agree with you on that. It needs to be portrayed in the correct manner. And when people start bending truths or hiding facts, then it just throws everything off, and everybody's a loser in that. It just makes everybody.
I mean,
more
history
ignorant.
is history. It's happened. And it needs
It
to be told
happened.
the way it
History
happened.
happens for a reason, good or bad. The page that I have, I get over 25,000 hits a week. I mean, I got readership, and the page of mine that does the best called "Deceiving You," and I go through. One genre after another, whether it be deceptions you find in the media, which are pluralic, government, medicine, whatever. There's a lot to be had, a lot to be seen.
All right. Well, so again, where can some of our listeners, people who haven't heard of you, where can they follow you? I know you said it before, but just really quick, a quick plug that you can put in.
Yeah, if we want to find your books, where do we find your books?
Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, any English. It's in every English speaking every English speaking country.
Okay,
you can order it, man.
All right, that's great. So check that out. And it sounds like a very interesting read. I know I'm into the paranormal stuff, and I have several books on that. It sounds like a very intriguing and fascinating read, and I might have to track it down myself.
Yeah. So thanks for being on. Thanks for talking.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Thank you.
All right.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, we're back here at the con, and here we are with dealer coordinator is Brennan Fowler.
Yep.
So he's the man with the kilt, with the utility kilt. He's got a beautiful facial hair, and you see him a mile away. Fantastic guy. And thank you very much for coming on. We're Horrible Horror Podcast, movies that are so bad they're scary. And this is the man you want to talk to if you want to put up a dealership, right? A dealer table or booth or what have you.
A vendor.
Here at any con. So tell us a little bit about what got you into cons and what got you into this whole contamination. It's been a long day, man.
Actually, I kind of fell into cons accidentally. When I was 15, a friend of mine in high school told me about Archon, which is in Collinsville, Illinois.
Okay, yeah.
And so I started going to that show every year, and I would save up my money for all year round.
Right.
So I'd have like $400 or $500 just to blow in a dealer's room.
Just to blow it, okay.
Yeah. Because that was back, before the internet. So,
yeah.
So that was the only time I could get a lot of this nerdy stuff.
Sure, and then you see, some of the celebrities from TV shows and some of the authors and what have you.
Yeah. And then right after high school, I started working for a company called the Wizard's Wagon. I became the manager of their store, and that's how I ended up working cons professionally, because I'd be a dealer. Set up at shows all over the country.
Now, isn't Wizard Wagon set up in U City right now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, not too far away from the old comic book store that was has now
Star
been
Clipper?
moved to Washington now as Star Clipper. Yeah.
Actually, Wizard Wagon started down in U City, and then they moved out to St. Charles, and now they're back in U City.
Okay, great. Yeah. So again, I used to go to Star Clipper all the time, and I saw when Star Clipper closed. That's kind of not too long before they closed. That's when Wizard Wagon opened up.
Yeah.
So I think also John Scorfino worked there for a little bit. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Just plugging a name real quick. He's a good buddy. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, maybe not. Anyway, so you're working the Contamination, and how long have you been doing that? And how long has Contamination been around, and what are the plans for it?
I believe this is the 6th year. The first year I actually set up a booth because I was working for Comic Relief in St. Charles, Missouri. I was the manager there for 9 years. And then after that, I decided, the comics just weren't selling well at this show.
Right.
So I told Dave, hey, you just need help with the show, I'll help. So the year after, he hired me to run the dealer's room, and pretty much I'm just here to make sure Dave can worry about the rest of the con.
Right.
So I'm here, someone has a problem, tables need to be moved, dealers are fighting with each other.
Right. And so far, I mean, this experience for us, this is our first con, first time we've ever been. It's been fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
this has been a wonderful, just amazing experience.
Yeah, everything's been absolutely a blast. We met a lot of cool people. We were right across from Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who, again, as a childhood, my 8-year-old me is going bonkers.
Yeah, we lucked out. We won the lottery with the our booth placement somehow. Like we are like in heaven.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but I'm kind of curious when you said about dealers not getting along with each other, or dealers fighting. You got any stories on that?
Oh yeah. Too many to tell, honestly. Yeah, sometimes it's usually, when you're a dealer, you buy this space.
Right.
You're not just buying the table; you're buying a space. And a lot of dealers like to move the tape and try to get a little bit more room so they can display more. And it's people are people, and sometimes they can be jerks.
So it's territory wars.
Territory wars. That's what they are.
Okay. Anybody come to fisticuffs or anything?
I've heard stories, but never in my presence.
Right. Yeah, luckily, I don't know how we won the lottery, but I think we got an amazing table, an amazing space. I know we paid a little bit more for the extra table room, but man, we are up against the wall, great traffic, and again, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. But yeah, it's been a fantastic experience. And I notice also a lot of the dealers who sell stuff on their walls. I'm kind of curious, are these people who go to con to con to con?
Often they are. Like when I worked for Wizard's Wagon, and they had an actual store, but then on the weekends we'd pack everything up and head to different cons. So when I worked for Wizard's Wagon, I probably did 30 shows a year.
Wow. And what, like all over this, like where in the States? Or?
Mostly the Midwest. We'd go up to Chicago, Milwaukee. I think the furthest show we did was in North Florida. We did the Dragon Con in Georgia. But yeah, usually just in the upper Midwest.
Yeah. And which city did you like the most, or which con did you like the best? Or
well, Dragon Con's one of the best cons, but I can't stand Atlanta. It's a horrible place.
Not your type of city.
No,
huh?
It's too hot.
Chocolate City is not your place.
It's too hot, and the traffic is ridiculous.
I've heard some legends about the traffic. I had a cousin who lived in Atlanta for a few years, and the traffic there is legendary, just bad, awful.
Last show we did there that I did with Wizard's Wagon, I literally walked from the hotel, and it was quite a bit of a walk, but I beat the people who were driving. That's how bad the traffic is in Atlanta.
Wow.
The best, I love Milwaukee.
I do too.
I've done MooCon up there, which is just at the campus, which is awesome because you just show up and you just hanging out with a bunch of college kids.
Yeah. So I'm sure they want to party, talk, and drink beer. And
drink beer and play board games, and
great.
It was like being in college. It was awesome. Except you're the old guy.
Yeah.
And then obviously when Gen Con was in Milwaukee, I loved that show. It moved to Indianapolis, and that's another city I don't really care for. So
haven't been in that one, so I can't make a judgment. Yeah. But so, what's next for you and Contamination? When's are we going to have again next year?
Yeah. Well, I don't think we've got a date set up, but once Dave gets it all finalized, I'm sure I'll be back doing the same old thing.
Yeah, because we were always thinking when can we sign up for next year? Like, we'd love to come back, and this has been awesome.
Yeah, well, and can we get a similar spot?
Yeah,
I don't know how we nailed it, but man, yeah, this was great.
No, just follow up on the Facebook page, and Dave usually is good about doing every few months doing an actual event somewhere other than a con to keep people abreast of the new information, and just so they remember. Oh wait, Contamination's coming up soon. Yeah. So
great.
Just follow the Facebook page, and it'll give you all the information you need.
Okay. Anything that you personally want to plug?
No, I don't really have anything going on right now.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
This is like the one con a year I work now, so I'm sort of
slowed down quite a bit.
Semi-retired.
Yeah. It's a good way of putting it. Well, thank you so much for telling us.
Your time.
And just kind of letting our listeners know exactly what kind of goes into some of these cons that we have. Yeah.
And thank you for a wonderful experience here.
It's been
at
great.
Contamination.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.